Hello, everyone. This is Matt Shaptel with Shaptel Law, and today is to really look at the new H-1B proclamation dropped by President Trump this last Friday on September 19th. This is one of the most blatant attacks on our employment immigration system. But right now, I just really want to focus on what it says so far. It's not terribly clear, so we're doing the best we can to interpret it and to monitor new guidance coming out from other agencies to understand the full scope of it. So I'm going to begin by sharing the actual proclamation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Have it pulled up right here, and just so anybody else can also find it, it is found at whitehouse.gov. And then if you go to whitehouse.gov, these new kind of presidential actions and orders and proclamations are all found under news and then presidential actions. I'm not going to go into the difference between orders and proclamations. This particular one is a proclamation. You'll find it right here as one of the most recently issued ones. That's where you can find it. Now, the proclamation starts with a very one-sided kind of rationalization for this kind of very unprecedented attack on H-1Bs. And the data and everything. Obviously, it's relatively one-sided to say the least. But let's go to the guts of this proclamation and what it actually says. The guts of it are all in section 1, section A, B, and to some extent C. Now, the first and really most important point is this is focused on restricting the entry of H-1B beneficiaries who are outside of the U.S. So if you are currently in the U.S., how this affects you is limited, but of course, the moment you want to travel, that's the critical part we need to understand for people who are currently in the U.S. in this status, which is most H-1B status holders. But Section A says you cannot come back in if you're an H-1B non-immigrant unless this prohibitively large fine is effectively paid by your petitioner, your employer, okay? Now, Section B also is drafted with that language of no decisions on new petitions can be made without this prohibitive 100K payment for beneficiaries outside the U.S. So again, it's focused on people outside of the U.S. But again, the moment you leave, how does that affect you? So pragmatically, that can affect everybody, and we're going to go into that. The third part is about the waiver provision for people doing work in the national interest. We do not know yet how broadly that will be used. But now I want to switch to my own PowerPoint presentation where I try to break it out more succinctly. So let me switch to that. So again, quick summary, obviously a radical attempt to restrict H-1Bs with this prohibitive fine. It lasts for the next 12 months, but of course, we'll evaluate renewal after 12 months. But right now, the first term is just 12 months. Who does this apply to? New H-1B petitions for beneficiaries outside the U.S. Who does it not apply to? Beneficiaries of currently approved and currently filed, even without a decision yet made, H-1B petitions so that is who it does not apply to for beneficiaries in the U.S. Okay, so that's a key point. Now, can you travel with an I-797, H-1B approval notice and current visa? Yes, you can. We're going to go to some secondary guidance already given by CBP that makes that point. So if you have a currently valid H-1B stamp and you already have an approved H-1B petition, they have made clear this does not affect you. You can continue to travel internationally, and we'll look at that memo with the caveat that this is all happening very fast. This is very soon after this proclamation that was poorly worded. But this is what some preliminary guidance is saying. Now, what about future H-1B petitions? Now, based again on the language of targeting people outside the U.S., beneficiaries outside the U.S., it appears that extensions of status for beneficiaries who are in the U.S., that petition can still be filed without this payment. The proclamation would not apply. The problem is, though, when that person wants to travel internationally, can they get a new H-1B visa and come back into the U.S.? Now, I'm hoping they will be able to, but we do not know yet. This is unclear, unfortunately. So it suggests that while extensions of status may be allowed, I'm very hopeful. Well, I'm hopeful they will be. Of course, very hopeful. I just don't know yet. They may be stuck here. So much uncertainty here on that point as well. Okay, let me briefly just show you these secondary memorandums that have been issued by USCIS and CBP. that are a little tricky to find, but we found already as immigration lawyers. This is this CIS one. Key language here, the proclamation only applies prospectively to petitions not yet filed, and it does not apply to beneficiaries of petitions that were filed prior to the date, and currently approved ones, or people in possession of valid H-1b stamps. But how that stamping process is going to work for current H-1b visa holders in future petitions is still a little bit unclear, to say the least. And then the CBP memorandum, the key point here I want to emphasize is CBP will continue to process current H-1b visa holders in accordance with these policies, and that it does not impact the ability of current visa holders to travel to or from the U.S. Of course, everyone's going to be very scared to travel at all, but this is what it is saying. So we will continue to get hopefully more and more solid advice going forward. Okay, everybody, more to come on this. I'm going to end this video for now. Okay, thanks.